What's going on, everyone? We have some news regarding the Throne and Liberty release date. Unfortunately, it is being delayed. So the new release date for the game is going to be early access on September 26th, with normal release on October 1st. It is unfortunate to see a delay happening this close to the launch, but there are some really nice additions that are coming as a result. Along with, this does actually alleviate some of the overlap that there was going to be with some other titles. World of Warcraft Mythic Raid release, Lost Ark T4 content, New World is doing a beta. Some of that is, Amazon's own IPs that are all overlapping. So, there's the tinfoil hat theory that TNL's getting pushed back for Amazon's other existing stuff, right? So we're going to go through, we're going to talk about some of the stuff that is coming in, and it's going to be some stuff you're already going to be aware of overall, but some of it is newer stuff that was added in KR very recently, as well as just based on regular player feedback. So the first thing is the combat. We'll be working on combat updates to improve the early game combat experience for players, bringing it more in line with the strong positive sentiment we received around the late to end game combat. The improvements include improved camera controls to remove smoothing. So this was a new thing that was just added in Korea like a week ago. So it's going to be an optional setting where you're going to be able to turn off like camera smoothing. That was what people had a bad experience with in terms of like the speed in which their camera was rotating. Adjusting the skill acquisition timing to give players access to varied abilities and builds earlier in the leveling journey. So if this is anything like what we're thinking, it'll be similar to how it is on KR right now through the main story quest, where it's going to give you lots of the skill upgrade books. So we're going to be able to get our abilities to level 1 purple very quickly compared to before. So this will be a quick method of people getting their abilities ranked up, through green, blue, up to purple, and then your grind is going to be going from those purple levels. And improving the intuitiveness of tab targeting. Another thing people have problems with is the targeting. So, hey, improvements there, always good. Leveling and progression. We heard feedback from open beta participants that they felt overwhelmed by the amount of systems that they were quickly introduced to in the early stages of their journey. There really is a lot initially that the game throws at you. When leveling and progressing, we're adjusting the progression journey to better spread out the introduction of systems, allowing players to focus on their early questing experience and learning the ins and outs of their character and combat before diving into too many additional systems. So that's nice. I mean, for the people who are playing on KR or who played a bunch during the beta, this isn't going to be super meaningful to them because they're just going to blast through everything regardless. But for the, average player, this will be nice and not, be so overwhelming. I'm hoping that this means that overall the gear progression is going to be a more steady progression and we're not going to see a rapid gearing progression in any capacity, as that would be very poor in the gameplay experience for people. Guilds. Throne and Liberty is better together. As a guild, you can get more out of unique modes like Castle Siege, more confidently traverse the open world thanks to meaningful guild rewards, and better contend with hostile players. We're expanding the tagging available to guilds so that players can more easily find guilds that align with their playstyles. Okay. New features. We're excited to announce that we will bring forward some key changes from the existing Korean version of Throne and Liberty. So some of these are the things that just were added in KR recently. Some of these things were already, stated that they were going to be in on release. The 3 systems listed below aren't a comprehensive look at every change we're including, but these updates are a few we know engaged fans and are eagerly anticipating for. There will be additional quality of life and other changes included alongside these new systems, and even more will be added post-launch. Skill specializations. So this is that skill system, right, that we have right here that has all of the additional new tripods for the abilities that modifies how they function. So that'll be a good addition, obviously, on launch. That's going to make combat feel better in general out the gate. Life skills, fishing and cooking will be included for you to experience the new life skill system in Throne and Liberty. Cooking will include new recipes divided into attack, defense, life, and utility effects, while fishing will introduce a new minigame allowing you to catch a variety of fish in the waters of Solisium. Hopefully, for the fishing side of it, there was an event in Korea recently that was a fishing event that was giving people rewards for some world boss like fragment type loot. It was, very low percent chances, but it was always a very cool thing for people to be able to get those like bell and deer fragments out of it. Having something that can be really impactful to get out of fishing is really cool. So hopefully we can see that event very quickly in the West in order to have fishing feel a little more impactful. Amatoy Expeditions. This is honestly a lot nicer than people think. This is essentially your own little like player house where you have all your Amatoys collected on a shelf and a map board that you're able to send them out on missions, and they'll bring back like materials that you would use in crafting, but they also give you abyssal contract points, which are the points that you consume when you are going into the open world dungeons to get loot from the mobs. So getting more of those just passively is going to be a nice thing early on. Most importantly, looking forward, there are even more changes and updates that will arrive in Throne and Liberty in the future, and closer to launch, we'll have a team update that discusses the first 2 months of our roadmap and when you can expect certain content to release. This is an incredibly important thing for them to post about and talk about, because the pacing of content release is going to be essentially what early on dictates the lifespan of this game. If tier 2 is released too early into the game, the progression is going to be expedited way too fast, the power spike is going to be way too high, and the pay-to-win wall is going to become very tall in terms of the amount of swiping that you would see people doing. So, would be very bad in general to see T2 early on, as it would just greatly skew the progression of the game and the power spike, and it just wouldn't. It would create a very ugly rat race towards certain content and power progression, and just, it's not something we want to see right away. You ideally would like to have T1 for 1.5 to 2 months, so hopefully that's kind of what we're looking at here is, first 2 months is T1, and then we can have T2 released, and then we can move into Talandre, and all that stuff. So that would be ideal. But, tinfoil hat, everybody's going to be talking about how New World is having their open world beta for Eternum on the early access window for the game. Lost Ark is having their roadmap right here in September for tier 4 content. Usually they release the content around the middle of the month, so this was likely another thing that was going to overlap. And then even World of Warcraft, you were going to have the first week of Mythic raiding. The Mythic raid unlock was going to be during the normal release window, so there would have been crossover there as well for, WoW having one of the largest MMO populations, so people would have been pouring on that as well. But early access would have also been during the normal and heroic raid difficulty, which would have been where the larger audiences of players are as well. So, having all these things not overlapping anymore is definitely a good thing, but still unfortunate to have, a pushback for another MMO release. So if you had PTO submitted or anything like that, definitely go and get that changed if you're able to. Always try to hold on to your PTO until the latest date possible, just in case things like this happen. But unfortunate that it's delayed, but I think overall it's going to be for the betterment of the game and the timing of the release with other titles. So hopefully we see a healthier launch as a result of this, but we'll have to wait and see. But thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, you can always catch us live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zav. Take care. Have a good one.